Yeah, right there, Tony. Yep, sure do. Okay, Wilson.
Does it concern you that when I say to you that NASA have no real photographs and no real video footage from space?
I mean, I've seen a couple of documentaries that might have said something like that.
Yeah.
But like the moon landing was fake and stuff like that. But
Would it make sense to you if I says to you that the whole reason they faked the moon, going to the moon, was so that they could convince people that they lived on a globe? Most people's lives are a lie because they don't know where they're living.
I mean, but for instance, right now, let's say I found out that the world is flat.
Yep.
Is it going to make a difference?
Well, there can be two. Well, this is the thing. Why would they lie in the first place? For me, there's two mind states, and if I say this to you, you might understand. One mind state is this: all life is accident. It formed from a big bang. All life came from a rock that somehow managed to create DNA and RNA and all these proteins. There's no meaning to life. It's an accident, and you're flying endlessly through the vacuum of infinite space, right? So there's one state of mind. The other state of mind is that the Earth is stationary, that it's flat, and that it's designed, and that this is where you're meant to be.
Yeah, but what designed it?
Everybody knows.
That's the problem with That's the problem with using natural science as your basis.
Yep.
You limit your knowledge.
Yeah.
That's one, because if you just tell me, okay, there's no gravity, then I can't base that on any mathematical application.
Well, this is the thing, and it's not to be disrespectful, but mathematics is a formal science. Mathematics is a formal science because it does not depend on empirical observation. It's a language. I can then say, well, we are standing here in a park using English, which is the truth. So mathematics is the same. Where it falls down is when it doesn't have the practical examples to back up the mathematical theories and equations, because as I say, you can form them from a false axiom and create a whole fantastical story like the Big Bang and the heliocentric model. But it has no grounding in reality for simple things like the opposing pressure systems, places covered in water. There is zero measurable curvature anywhere. All natural applications and experience in life tells us that the Earth is flat and stationary.
Yeah, but you see how it works with NASA. Being a huge entity that it is, it can't all be wrong. You see, data that they collect, for example, when light bends around massive objects in space, which was at first theorized by Einstein in the general theory of relativity, that when large objects, large masses are in space fabric, light bends around them. You see, you could tell them that all that's a lie and that they didn't record any of that data, which could be true. But some people choose to believe NASA, and because of that, they bring scientific advancements. Without believing in the general theory and the specific theory of relativity, we wouldn't have been in the world we are today. Electronics and all that came from that. So if I based all my beliefs in your natural science, I'd still be very primitive. I'd rather.
No, but can I just say the reason we have those technologies is because of natural science, not because of Einstein's theories. Natural science was journeymen, real tradesmen who, messed with reality, played with technologies, and formed these technologies that we have. Einstein comes along with these theories that don't match observable reality. A journeyman, a carpenter, a bricklayer, a builder, they don't require Einstein's theory of relativity.
Then I just said, okay, well, I'll just do that.
They use spirit levels and actual real life applications to construct and form reality. So, it's just trying to say to people that, there's a difference from these languages and what the actual reality is.
The problem is that human beings think that they're egoistically, they think that they are because they can logic and they can use philosophy and they can use science and all that stuff. They have the ability to measure all these things, and if we don't measure it, then we're just primitive beings like our ancestors or whatever you believe in. Right? The problem isn't that. The problem is there are some things in the world that, or in the universe or whatever this place that we're in, that we can't, because we're confined to our four dimensions, or like our 5 senses or 6, whatever you believe in, and so on. So there's some things that we can't explain, and there's no point in trying to explain it, because the only thing that we can explain is like what you said, is like words. Like I can whatever is in my mind right now, whatever I'm trying to say, I can only say it through filtering, through words, and that's the only way I can show you. But everything in my mind, maybe I can't be able to, maybe I can't even illustrate to you what I'm thinking, right? Because it's so complex. Or maybe there's
So you're talking about subjectivity.
I'm talking about the fact that we're trying to explain things that, on a quite basis, we might not be forever. We might not be able to explain it. I'll give you the same benefit of the doubt that I gave my 6th grade science teacher, and I'll say that I believe in a thing now. Unless
That's the same with me. I don't have beliefs. I think beliefs are the problem with people these days. A belief is a virus. If you take a belief on board, then you don't know. It's something that you've not experienced yourself. So why would you adopt a belief?
Are you an anarchist, by the way? Just to think.
Aye. And I think it's time now that people woke up to what's actually happening here in this world. People don't support each other. They don't communicate. Language is being subverted. There's so many issues in society now. If you want to control people, you create the globe, and in people's minds they think, well, I live in this globe, there's no way off, everything's been discovered. Therefore people will just stay still and accept the life that's presented to them.
We don't know much about physics and all that stuff you're talking about. This is really interesting and stuff, but that's what we know, though. That's what we're taught. So
we were taught that.
Maybe we're guilty of following what people say. But if I knew more, I'd probably be able to talk to you about it. But
well, that's great. That's what we're looking for, honest answers. That's what we want to highlight, the fact that people just take what they're told and they believe it.
Yeah, definitely. That's I think the more side of the world, maybe.
You understand water?
Not as much as you probably.
Well, if you were making a cup of tea or running a bath or a swimming pool, you understand that water has to be contained.
Right.
If I was to say to you, let's build a huge swimming pool here, and then I was to say to you, well, look at the middle of the water, there's a hump in the middle of the water, you would know that was ridiculous, wouldn't you?
Right.
So how can you live on a globe when the place is covered 79% of water?
Gravity holds it together, though, isn't it?
What is gravity?
Gravity is how the space-time continuum works as a fabric. When there's a heavy mass object inside, there's a dimple, and it causes the force to attract together.
That's right. That's mathematics. It's a formal science. It's a theoretical thing. But if I was to ask you for a practical example of that, could you show me?
Practical example of
gravity.
Yeah, if you ask me what gravity is, I wouldn't be able to point at it and be like, this is gravity. But that's everything else. How do I know what you're saying right now is coming out of your mouth and everything, and it's consciousness and everything, but I can't point to your consciousness.
That's right.
So essentially nothing exists. If you want to talk about that, but if we're talking about practically, gravity, we could show things like, what he said, and how if something gets big, it has more gravitational force and stuff. We could prove that, how it works, and then what things behave like alchemy and stuff like that, but we can't prove that.
So that's what I'm saying. Like when they talk about gravity, I always go to natural science. Natural science for me is testable, repeatable, observable.
Like Popper's falsification test?
Yeah, so if I was to say to you, fire burns paper, and you would say, well, show me. If I can't show you that, then it's not reality. Just the same as like religious ideologies and stuff, where you go to a religion and you say, well, can you show me your...
Well, okay, what can you show me then? If you can show me one thing that's 100%, you can prove it, like sort of an axiom to build on something, on everything. What can you show me?
Well, that's the problem with mathematics. They create axioms and then they form mathematical constructs from the axiom. But the premise that they start from has to be based in reality, or else it's fantasy.
If it is based, but the thing that's based on reality, what can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. Water does not conform to the exterior of shapes. Water must be contained. Water finds its own level, and the surface will always be perfectly flat and horizontal. That's a fact of reality. So, fascinating stuff.
I'll give it a look and hopefully next time we meet.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
have
Appreciate your time. Thank you, man.
no worries. Thank you
Thank
very much.
you.
What was the documentary on, by the way? Are you getting it?
My channel is called Beyond the Imaginary Curve.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. Do you believe you live on a globe?
On a globe as in the world?
Yes. Could I ask you, what's your number one proof that you believe that?
I suppose, I don't know, it's just been ingrained in you, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't really have a proper reason.
That's
so
great.
bad.
But that's what we're looking for. That people take these things for granted. As you say, it's so heavily ingrained in you from a child. They show you the globe and this is where you live, and NASA with their pictures and their images.
Exactly.
And the reality is that none of those photographs or videos are actually real. Yep. They tell you on their website. Honestly, they're composite images. Absolutely 100%. That's why we're here.
Do you have proof of that?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I'm asking you and you're asking me. I love that though.
Endless cycle, isn't
But I'm into natural science. You know what natural science is? Yeah, there's natural, formal and social science.
Okay.
So mathematics is a formal science because it doesn't depend on empirical observations. So you can have mathematical axioms that have got no relation to reality, and you can form, you know, a theory and stuff from that. But for me, natural science is purely whatever claims are made about reality, we can show them, you know, with practical example. Okay. So if I says to you, you know, I have a pink unicorn, and you said, show me a pink unicorn, and I says, well, I can't, would you believe that I had a pink unicorn? Of course not. So if I was to ask you this then, could you give me one practical example of a body, you know, water, liquid? If I was to say, could you give me a practical example of a body of water conforming to the exterior of a shape?
No, I don't think so.
Of course you couldn't, because that's not how liquid behaves.
No.
So
Yeah.
then how can you be living on a globe?
I don't know, I can't give you an answer.
But that's
so
great.
bad.
But we're not looking for it to be academic and have, you know,
Yeah, I wish
we're
I
looking,
could be.
we're looking for real people's responses, and this is exactly what we're looking
Yeah.
for. So being honest and saying, you know, I couldn't.
Okay.
Part of the thing we're trying to capture is cognitive dissonance. You know what cognitive dissonance is? When somebody has a belief in something and then they're shown proof that it's not real, and they have a
Yeah.
because they don't want to face it. And cognitive dissonance is a process of this. We ask people for a practical example and they go, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Because I'll say, well, we know liquid finds its own level. You have to have it in a container or it will flow.
Maybe I just need to educate myself more. Maybe it's that.
Well, that's great, no, but you know, I really appreciate your honest answers. How do you feel when I say that none of these images and video is real?
It's hard to believe because it's so heavily like.
Indoctrinated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know, but I can just tell I'm going to go home and tell people.
Don't go home and say, oh, the air's flat, you know, because people will go, oh, you're crazy,
No,
you're crazy.
exactly. So what is the reasoning for it being?
Why they would lie?
Like what's the reasoning for them saying it's
It's fear, for control. Well, human beings are very curious creatures. If I was to keep you prisoner and you knew you were in a pen like a fenced in area, your natural instinct would be to get beyond that to find out what was there. So psychologically, if you can tell people they live on a sphere, what you're saying to them is that's all that exists. There's no way off. There's nothing else to explore. There's nothing else to find. Therefore, you know, people won't question it. They'll just go about their life and think that they know we're there. Whereas hopefully it's triggered and you will go and think about it.
I'm like questioning everything now. Like,
I really appreciate that's the whole purpose of the point, was to capture the real reaction, and then hopefully that people will go and question you and bring awareness.
Okay, well, I'll definitely have a think about that.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
I really if I asked you if you could give me the number one proof that you live on a globe,
A picture from space.
picture from space,
Picture from space.
do you think that those are real?
Yeah.
You do? You would still believe that it's a globe? Do you know anything about physics? A little bit. Do you understand water, liquids?
I think so.
You understand how they behave?
Reasonably well.
If I was to say to you, if I was to say this and you can agree with me or disagree, that all bodies of water will conform to the shape of the container and that all bodies of water will seek and maintain their own level. Would you agree with that?
I think so, yeah.
So how then can it be possible that you live on a globe?
About 30 minutes. Gravity.
If the place is covered 80% water,
How is it a circle?
how can
How's
it
it
be
a
a globe?
sphere?
How can it be a globe?
Well, because gravity acts on every particle in the same way.
Could you give me a practical example of gravity?
Drop anything right now.
Well, I could explain that as buoyancy and density. If I was to go to a shipbuilder or an aeroplane builder or any construction builder and say, do you factor gravity into your equation when you're building? They do not.
Because they don't need to, because it's the same.
So
So if gravity varied, then they'd have to.
so in natural
A
science,
practical example, didn't someone drop a feather in a...
in a vacuum, yeah. But unfortunately,
Same speed.
but we live in a pressurised system. We live with an atmosphere. We live in air and pressure. So how things behave here in this reality is what we're focusing on.
Okay.
So, and you ask people for practical examples of these things, it's just to show people how, mathematics can start from a false axiom or a false premise, and they can build a construct from that. And the problem breaks down when we don't have the practical example or practical application in reality for the mathematics. So what I ask people is, can they give me one example or one practical example of a body of water conforming to the exterior of a shape? And can they give me one practical example of two opposing pressure systems existing side by side without a solid separation?
Body of water conforming to a shape.
It's no reality, is it? If I was to show you a test tube of water, you know that it's contained and it's flat at the top. A bathtub of water, a swimming pool, a dam, a lake, an ocean, the physics don't change. So if we were standing here and the ground was starting to curve away from us with water on it, the water would flow.
Yeah.
So does it make you question then the validity of people telling you that you live on a sphere?
I'm pretty sure we live on a sphere.
Yeah. So I don't want to be pushy and put anybody in the spot. And what we experience a lot of time is a thing called cognitive dissonance with people because it's such a strong-held belief. They taught you it from nursery school through school, and then when you question these things, people have a psychological reaction to it. So what we're looking for is just people to express purely, honestly. If that's what they were told, they believe it, fine. But for me, I like science. I like real natural science. So I look for proof, of claims that are made to me. And if I can't find them, then I discount them. So I found zero proof of a globe. Everything tells me that the Earth is stationary and flat. I know that it's hard for some people to accept that because people have a preconceived idea of a flat disc or something with an edge.
Believe it, I guess so.
Yeah. Does it concern you that there's no real pictures from space or video footage from space?
Well, NASA took a fair few photos from space.
They're not real.
How they're not real?
They tell you on their site.
You can make a composite picture.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? You can use more than one photo. So.
Yeah. But I find it strange that $50 million per day, and the only thing we have is cartoons. I think that's a wee bit concerning, to be honest with you.
What's up to you?
But I appreciate your honest answers, man. And it's great to get the reaction. How are you feeling? I mean, are you having questions, or are you just rubbishing it and you'll forget about it as the day goes on? Or well, forget about it. It's brilliant. No, honestly, man, thank you very much for being so honest and taking the time to speak. If you could give me the number one proof, I take it you believe you live on a sphere, a globe. Mm-hmm. Could you tell me your number one proof for why you believe that?
Gravity.
Gravity. Mm-hmm. What is gravity?
Well, pulls everything towards the centre of the earth.
Yeah. Could you give us a practical example of that? Yep. So I can explain that as the keys and the materials that that's made of
Yeah.
is more dense than the medium that it's in air right now.
Yeah.
Therefore it falls. If I was to go to a shipbuilder or a aeroplane builder and ask them if they account for gravity while they're constructing these things, they tell you straight away that they do not account for gravity when they're constructing these things. So if I say to you, I have a pink unicorn,
Yeah.
you're going to say, show me your pink unicorn.
Of course.
If I can't show you that pink unicorn, is it reality?
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
Yeah. So if I was to say to you, could you give me one practical example of a body of water conforming to the exterior of a shape? Do you think you could show me that?
A large object in water, I suppose, maybe.
So if we had a huge swimming pool and we pushed something under the water,
Yeah.
you would expect to see it in the top of the water. But we know that the physics of water is that it will always maintain its level, that it does not conform to the exterior of shapes. That's what we test in
Yeah.
reality every single day. So are you aware that there's no real photographs or video from space?
From space?
Yep.
Well, it depends what you mean.
Well, there is no real photographs.
Well, I know there's like videos of the moon landing and stuff.
Yeah.
I know that's not.
That's been falsified now.
What's that?
It's been falsified.
100%?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I believe that personally myself.
Yep.
But I thought there are photos of the Earth from space.
It's none. They tell you on NASA's website that every image is a composite. There's people now, there's a camera called an Nikon P900 Coolpix. It's got a super zoom on it. And people are zooming into the stars and showing you what they actually look like, and they don't look anything like NASA shows. Nothing.
What about like space stations and stuff there?
It's not real. They're faking it.
For what reason?
Well, here's the thing, that's a very good question. If I'm controlling people and I want to keep control of people, then human beings are very curious. If I was to keep you in a pen and you knew you were in a pen, you would want to get beyond it. You would,
Oh yeah, I understand that, but I don't, like, maybe in terms of like, you know, government and stuff, but as far as space and so on the Earth, I don't really see the point in that.
because if you believe you live on a sphere, then you think that that's all there is. There's nothing, there's nowhere to go, there's no way off, there's nothing left to explore. Therefore you will stay in your everyday life and accept the life that's been presented to you.
But there are also proofs against that as well, like for instance the Coriolis effect and things like that.
Yep. So the Coriolis effect, they would tell you, like a sniper, when you take a shot, when the bullet leaves the gun, it's affected by the movement of the earth.
Yeah.
Now we've approached golfers.
Shadows.
Shadows, yep.
So that proves that the Earth is not stationary.
That's Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes, would say, oh well, there's a shadow here that's different from the shadow over here. But when you have a local light source, if I've got a local light source and I put a pin here and I put a pin here and the light source is here, the shadows are different.
Yeah.
Because on a flat,
But the shadow would move.
it does. The sun moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the sun moves, not the Earth.
No, the Earth. There's absolutely zero proof that the Earth moves. There's two experiments. Ares failure.
It's theories. They're theories.
Yes, but there's never been an experiment to prove that it moves. Do you feel it moving?
No, but even if it was moving, we wouldn't feel it.
Well, they tell you that
We'd
the
be travelling at the same speed.
1,000 miles per hour at the equator, while the Earth is travelling 65,000 miles per hour around the Sun,
Yeah.
and the Sun is travelling at 500,000 miles an hour. Now, that's an incredible amount of motion.
Yeah, but if we're on that motion,
Yep.
we wouldn't feel it.
Well, you know what centrifugal force is? So if you go in a roundabout
Yeah.
and it starts to spin, what happens to you?
You feel it.
You feel it. What's the motion that happens to you? You get
Well,
pushed off.
yeah.
Right. So, but they have to invent these incredible magic forces. So you've got a magic force that they call gravity that can hold trillions upon trillions of tons of water stuck to a globe.
Yeah.
But a tiny midgie or a tiny fly can float, no problem. Without the sphere, all you need is density and buoyancy.
So what's the force putting my keys to the floor?
Density, because the keys are so dense. Here's the thing, you get a helium balloon, the helium balloon rises. Why? There's gravity.
Well, the helium is lighter than oxygen.
Exactly. So why do we need gravity? Because you understand that it's less dense than the oxygen, so it rises. It's not because of any forces, other than it being lighter than the environment that it's in. So it's no science, it's a religion.
It's a theory.
For me, I call it a religion. You know, if I don't have a real testable example, and they're saying that it's real, then to me that's religious. So how do you feel?
I'm still confident in my own beliefs.
Good. But you understand that it is a belief.
I understand it's a theory, yeah.
And it's something that you choose to believe in.
Because there's more and more practical evidence, I think.
Well, for people like us, I can tell you honestly, you know, there is zero proof for a globe, and there is an abundance of evidence and proofs to show you that it is flat, stationary. So for me, I go with the proof. You know, if I don't find proof of something, like it being a globe, then I should just discard it. You know. So.
I think so, can do.
Thank you. Do you believe you live on a globe?
Yeah, as in the Earth is round.
The Earth is a sphere, a round,
Right,
ball-shaped
sure.
sphere. You believe that?
Yep.
Could I ask you why?
Just from what I've studied and pictures from space and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Didn't you say you studied? Could I ask you what you studied?
Just normal science within school. And
Yeah. So I love natural science. Natural science to me is testable, repeatable,
Sure.
observable. Could you give me one practical example of a body of water conforming to the exterior of a shape?
I don't know. I don't, off the hand, I'm not 100% sure. Right
Well, a body of water, a liquid, any liquid.
now. Like glass with water
Yeah, but
conforms
to the inside.
right.
So it will form the shape of
Right.
its container.
Sure.
The surface is always horizontal and parallel.
Sure.
Yeah. But if you try to make the water conform to the outside of the glass, it wouldn't happen.
Okay.
So the Earth is covered 80% in water. So how could it be possible that we live on a sphere?
So why is it important?
No, this is we're just gauging reactions
Yeah.
and asking people.
No. I actually go on another issue too. It's actually in the Bible. It mentions that
The Earth is flat.
the Earth is Noah's actually the circle of the Earth. Isaiah chapter 40
That's right.
says the circle of the Earth.
Yep. I've spoken to many religious people about this very same subject. And a circle could be interpreted
Sure.
as
Yes, we're in.
a circle, or it doesn't say a sphere, you know, it says a circle. The Quran, all these different things, and you know, about stretching at the heavens. Are you religious yourself?
Yes, I am.
You are religious. But for me, you know, it says a lot in these religious. I'm not a religious person, by the
Okay.
way, just so that you know, that the Earth is stationary and flat.
I believe in a creator. I believe
Yeah.
that he's made us to
Yeah.
enjoy the earth that it is.
So
I don't like as far as issues and
yeah.
conspiracy theories and stuff
No,
like
no,
that.
no,
Yeah,
no.
I think there's probably that, but
So would it make sense to you then that there's two mindsets? One mindset could be this: life's an accident. That life came from rocks. It formed itself. There was a big bang, and that everything's flying through endless space with no meaning. They're trying to push evolution. They're trying to push abiogenesis, which is life from nothing. It just happens itself. Now that's one mind state. The other mind state is life is created, the earth is created, and this is exactly where you're supposed to be. Now those two mindsets to me are totally different, because one makes you feel significant and one makes you feel insignificant. So that's for me why they created the whole globe illusion.
so I mean I don't really see how it correlates to being able to, if we are created and it is a globe.
Yeah.
What's
Well, for control purposes, humans are very curious and explore. So if I was to put a barrier around you and fence you in, you would realise there was a barrier and you would want to see what was beyond the barrier.
would there be a barrier if it was flat as well?
Well, this is what we don't know. But if I was to say to you that you live on a sphere, a globe, there's no way off of it and everything's been discovered, the chances are that you're not going to explore, you're just going to accept what you were told.
I mean, you look at creation and you look at the programs and stuff like that, as far as like people looking into creation or what the earth has and animals. I mean, it's infinitesimal. Like there's so much we're learning
Yeah.
still. I agree. Scientists will try to peg hole it as far as this is how we've come about, and they have no idea.
No.
It's beyond.
No.
I mean, the human brain. We have no idea
Exactly.
what's going on. So,
Exactly. But that's great, that's exactly what I was looking for, because that's the truth. Nobody really knows what's going on, but you have these institutions who try and tell you what's going on. And when they tell you these things and there's zero proof, then for me, it's a lie. It's a lie. So,
yeah, I think a lot of people are frustrated with how
Yeah.
science and religion,
it's
even
false.
and politics are going about it. So.
Well, science has been infiltrated by religion.
I mean, and it's sad because even when the teaching of so many things that went against the church and so on like that, they killed them for it,
Yeah.
right? So on both sides, it's culpable for a lot of things.
Exactly. So,
Anyways,
thank you
Jeff,
very much for your time.
thanks, okay.
Appreciate it. Could you give me one practical example of a body of water conforming to the exterior of any shape?
No, but we have why shouldn't the Earth be round if all other planets in the universe is round? You see, the sun is around. It's
Circle.
round. Yeah, circle. Yeah. And when gravity pulls things together, it will be as fair as well.
So again, could you give me one practical example of gravity?
The sun.
Sun is a practical example of gravity.
Yeah, you see I don't know, but
This is great, because what we're looking for is real reaction from people. We're not looking for people to answer the question. We're just looking for honest, genuine responses for the video
We have planets going around the sun.
Yeah, we totally understand the heliocentric model, but this is why we're out and we're asking people, just to see what people really know. We just had a girl who said, well, I don't, I was only told it, so that's why I believe it. And we find that the majority of people is the same. Looking back to NASA and the space agencies, are you aware that there is absolutely zero real video and real photographs from space?
but how do you prove that?
How would I prove that there's none? That there's no real photos? NASA tell you.
Why do they say that there's pictures coming from satellites? I watch a live feed from satellites where the astronauts are in the International Space Station, and I see that the planet is around.
So you feel that that's real?
Yeah.
But why do you think it's real?
Because it's a collaboration between several different governments and several different nations.
So, see, I asked again for the practical example, one practical example of a body of water conforming to the exterior of a shape. Again, I would ask again, could you give me one practical example of two opposing pressure systems existing side by side without a solid separation between them?
I don't even follow.
I don't even
Well,
understand.
they say that space is a vacuum,
Yeah.
and that we live in a pressurised system. So those are two opposing pressure systems. In reality, when we observe and test opposing pressure systems, they have to have a solid barrier between them, or you have equilibrium. So your fridge, freezer, a gas canister, if something's a different pressure from the environment, it has to be sealed, or it will equilibrate. Do you understand? Well, if you have a vacuum, which is, as a negative pressure system, so if you were to go to the back of the fridge freezer that has piping and a condenser and these things, it causes a pressure, the same as your heating in your home, that builds up a pressure. Now if you were to remove the pipes, what would happen? You wouldn't have pressure, because it would equilibrate with the environment that you're in. So that's what I'm saying. If natural science requires proof of claims, so I can't show you my pink unicorn. You can't show me a body of water conforming to the exterior of a shape, nor can you show me two opposing pressure systems existing side by side without a barrier between them. So why would I accept that as reality? Only because of NASA and these institutions.
Yeah, we kind of figured they have more knowledge than
So as I say, we were just looking for genuine reactions. As I say, the natural physics of all liquids, is to seek and maintain its own level, and it will take the shape of any container. So we know that to hold water you have to have a cup or a bathtub or a swimming pool or a lake or a dam, and an ocean is just a bigger version of them. It's no different. The physical properties don't change, the physical laws don't change. The ocean's not made of jelly or souffle, it's water.
surface tension.
We have surface tension meniscus. Yep. So when you put it in a cup, you get a slight water tension. That's water tension. The same when you fill the glass up, you can get a slight curve because of water tension. But all I would be doing then is be proving that the water still has to be contained within the glass.
Well, yeah, if it frozen water on the ground, you see what I'm saying.
Yep. But in a body of water, you know how water behaves, liquid. You could never, if I was to get a huge swimming pool and submerge a shape under the water, would you expect to see the shape in the top of the water? Of course you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. So, you know, we build, construct based on these principles. Water is a natural element. You know, it has a natural law and behaviour to it, and we use it in construction. We have done for thousands of years. You know, by using it as a level, because we understand that it's a part of reality and it's a definite in reality. That's how it behaves. So we can depend on it. So what I would say to people then is, how can we be living on a sphere? If we were living in a sphere, we would have real 24-hour video, real images from space, but we don't.
And how can you provide evidence that the pictures aren't real?
Because they tell me. Who? NASA.
They haven't told me that they.
Go to their website and they'll tell you that all their images are composite images. They're composite images, they're not photographs. It's just people don't understand the language.
Yeah, if you're watching live videos from space station.
Have you ever saw the movie Gravity?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but there's a difference to graphics now from 30 years ago.
Exactly. Now, you don't think it's funny that all of a sudden...
But why, how can I watch at the sky through a telescope and see that Venus is a sphere?
Circle.
Yeah.
It's not a sphere, it's a flat disc. But what we see is two-dimensional. We don't see spheres.
Satellites at night as well.
Well, we don't know what they are.
Around the Earth.
We don't know what I don't know what they are. What I would say to you is this: there's cameras now that Nikon have created called a P900 Coolpix with a super zoom. There's so many people all over Earth now who are videoing the stars and what they call planets, and they're nothing like NASA showed you. Nothing like NASA showed you. They're no solid bodied things. Most of the stars are like plasmic electrical fields that are just morphing in and out.
You can see the moon, can't you?
You can see the moon. Yeah. You can see the moon, you can see the sun. But we see a two-dimensional flat disc. That's what we see. The fact of the matter is that nobody knows what the moon, the sun and the stars are. For thousands of years people have wondered what these things are in the sky. Nobody really knows. I know it's hard for people because people have been shown...
I don't believe that it's just a circle, like a flat surface. I believe it's a round thing.
But that's the correct terminology because you're using the word believe. So that's what we want. We want honest reactions from people so that people express that it is a belief.
But how can the scientific community be collectively, or not entirely collectively, since you don't believe it, but why is it's proven or a proven fact that the moon is circle or a sphere or something?
Well, we can all observe it and we can agree that we see something that's circular. We can all do that.
How can for 400 years people have been everyone have agreed that it is a circle?
See, I can't employ a logical fallacy and generalise and say that everybody believes. I'm not in a position to do that. I don't know what everybody believes.
You tell me that it is flat.
Yeah. Well, no.
So how can you say it's only flat?
No, I don't make a claim to know what. I don't know what it's made of. I don't know where it actually is. I don't know its full dimensions.
So you don't believe that NASA landed on the moon?
No.
How? Why?
It's zero proof.
They have.
Here's what
they have collected things from the moon that have space stations.
Well, the supposed moon rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
One of the rocks that they sent, I can't remember the university or wherever that they sent. It was found to be petrified wood.
Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah. But why isn't that commonly acknowledged by the public then? If it's so obvious.
Well, this is the thing. If you take one generation of kids or people and you educate them in a certain method or with a certain belief or ideology, then that generation then automatically starts passing it on to the next generation. and it just becomes accepted as the norm. You know, and for me, science should never be a closed book. It should always be open to question.
Yeah, but it is open to question.
Yep, it is. And the
but
debates.
when like the majority of people that are much smarter than me says or proves that there is that things are circled or round or sphere or something, then why shouldn't I believe that?
Yeah. Well, you know, I would suggest that I would stop anybody from adopting any beliefs, because for me a belief is a substitute for knowing. So right away I would encourage people not to believe anything, to trust your own senses and to trust real natural science, which is observable, testable, repeatable. That's how we operate, that's how we construct. We have technology. There is an objective reality that's really there, that we can measure, test and depend on. So what I would say is, don't believe in any institution who's telling you that you should believe. For me, there's an issue with that. The fact of the matter is that for over 2 years now, myself, we've got a guy, Gavin, who's involved, who has an honours degree from Glasgow University in mathematics and physics. He understands that what he's been told is a lie. I have so many other friends now, because they based a lot of this stuff on false axioms. You know, they started from a false premise, and then they create a mathematical construct based on a false premise. Now, the false premise in this case is that the Earth is a sphere.
Yeah, but that's what you guys say.
Yeah. Well, again, I went and I searched extensively, and I looked for proof, and I have found zero proof that the Earth is a globe. There is no measurable curvature. All things in nature, everything in natural science tells me beyond any shadow of a doubt that it cannot be a sphere I'm living on. The mountain of proof that it's flat and stationary is like that. Zero proof for a globe, loads of proof to say that it's flat and stationary. I'm not a religious guy, I'm a science guy. And I had to go through cognitive dissonance. I believed I lived on a
But
globe.
how, if it's flat, how can I like travel from Japan to around and back to Tokyo without like traveling like this, or how? If it's flat, then
There you go. Right, here I'm in Japan.
yeah,
Where do you want to go?
back to Japan. Yeah, but that tells me that what's in the circle? Is this the North Pole, or is this, you know, there's
Yep.
North Pole, there's South Pole.
North Pole, South Pole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's have to be on top of each other because there's two poles.
Well, this is a
And then you have to go walk around like this, not around this, because what's in the middle then?
Yeah.
Then you have to decide if there's a North Pole or a South Pole.
Well, this is going by their teachings. We have a compass, which is flat, and you hold it flat. Right?
Yeah, but still, like, so you deny that Roald Amundsen went to the North and South Pole?
The north to south circumnavigation has never been done. Never been done.
It's not possible.
That was
Not possible.
but
No,
still,
there's mountains in the way.
then you don't believe the equator either.
Yeah, there is an equator.
Where's that then?
Well, the equator is where it is. You know, the
Yeah, but
countries are on the equator.
But how can it be flat? And is this the equator? But then it doesn't make sense.
Well,
It doesn't make sense that
we
the
could take
equator.
a square or we could take a circle.
Yeah,
right?
but it doesn't make sense that equator is in Ecuador and in Indonesia, for example. It doesn't make sense if we follow that logic, because if it goes like this, where is everything? Where is like
Was at the end.
It's at the end. This is what we don't know. This is what we're trying to bring people's awareness to.
But you're saying
What are you
no
using
one,
the
no one's ever been to the end. You know, it's
Well,
flat.
this is the thing. Part of the psychological tricks that the governments have used is to put images of a flat Earth into people's mind, that it's a flat disc and that you can fall off the edge. That they're
But it
cartoons.
wasn't governments that founded that it was a circle. It was Copernicus.
Copernicus was a Jesuit priest.
Yeah, but he on his deathbed he told that like they thought that sun was the Earth was the in the middle of the universe.
Yeah.
And he told on his deathbed that it wasn't. Yeah. And then you have Galileo Galilei and all those guys. They were not governments telling them to say this.
They were Jesuit priests.
Bruno was sent into prison. He was executed because of his beliefs that there was a higher, that there was a universe, not that the Catholic Church was was law. And he was executed. Why would he do that if he was a Jesuit priest?
Well,
It doesn't make sense because
Copernicus was a Jesuit priest.
yeah, of course they were. But all people that were you had to be a priest to go to school to learn things.
Because they controlled everything.
Yeah, but why would he? Because you say you shouldn't believe anything. He didn't believe it. He took these things that the church told him, and then he denounced them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would that guy?
It's
400 years
not
ago.
so much that these people would lie deliberately. It might be that they were misguided, that they were mistaken. There's so many. I mean, 400
they
years
would
ago.
be executed for what they believed, what they said.
Yeah. Well, I can only go by, official sources that tell me that's what happened and that these people were actually real people. I tend not to go into that kind of side of it because, I'm not there. I don't know who these people were. But what I do know is that the religious institutions controlled society, and they still do. They infiltrated science. They created things like NASA. They used Nazi scientists who they brought out from Germany through a thing called Project Paperclip.
Yeah, because they needed the rockets.
Yeah.
Because they had the first jet-propelled rockets. They needed that rocket to go to the moon. So why?
So you think?
But they didn't. You knew the Earth was round before Nazi symbolism came in. Before Nazi scientists.
I highly doubt.
1800s, 1750. They knew. Like when that guy that found like shadow stars or what they call dark stars, like the Haley guy. Haley, that
Halley's Comet.
Huh?
I've been discovered Halley's Comet.
Yeah,
But
he knew that the Earth was round. In his works, he says like you can see things that are round at the sky because they are a circle.
Can I stop you, right?
Yeah.
Can I stop you? Because I'm not interested in guys that lived 200 years ago. I can only go by now. Now, that's a red herring. Do you know what a logical fallacy is? Right. So, if I see circles in the sky,
Yeah.
that's no scientific proof that I live on a circle. Right? That's like saying the pool balls are round, therefore the pool table's round. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
That's a logical fallacy. So I look for real proofs, testable, repeatable, measurable proof of
But they
all
measure it
claims.
with mathematics.
But mathematics is a formal science. You can start from a false
But
axiom.
everything is built around mathematics.
No, it's not.
You like the smallest atoms is mathematics.
Yeah.
Like quantic what do you call quantum.
If you let- if you let-
quantum
if you let-
mechanics, everything is built around mathematics. Mathematics is the universal language.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Mathematics is reality was here before mathematics. Okay.
Yeah.
So men created a language to describe reality, and they called it mathematics. Mathematics, you can start from a false axiom and build a construct based on your false axiom. Where mathematics is found to be lacking is when you take it and you try and apply it to actual real life observations. Now, if you don't have the real life observation, your mathematics is wrong. So they'll tell you in mathematics that water can conform to spheres. You can have negative and positive pressure systems existing side by side in mathematics. So what I'm saying to people is, can you give me a practical example for the mathematics? If you don't have the practical example, there's something wrong with your mathematics.
Yeah. But
Just like if I don't have the pink unicorn to show you, is it reality?
yeah, but you can't prove a pink unicorn. You can prove that there is something else in the
So
universe that.
prove to me how a body of water conforms to the exterior of a
But
sphere.
I'm not a scientist. I don't know the
We're all
mathematics that is-
scientists. Natural science is about your common sense and your
Yeah.
observations.
Natural science, but like if you believe that mathematics is the universal language of everything that exists,
Yeah.
then with my level of mathematics, I can prove anything because I haven't read enough to know this mathematics.
But you still believe what they tell you.
I believe what I tell you because people that are like Isaac Newton, who is maybe probably one of the greatest geniuses that ever lived, tell me that. Like he and others that have proven his works tell me that. Like Einstein, I don't say I'm smarter than Einstein.
No, but this is what I'm saying. You're saying that they've proved it. What I'm asking you is, where is the proof?
No, but still, okay. I can't like put my hand on the moon and say this.
But can you show me how water conforms to a sphere?
No.
Well, why do we believe it?
Because of gravity.
Give me a practical example of gravity.
Practical example of gravity, like
You jump and fall
Earth.
down.
Earth goes
I
around.
can
the
explain
moon.
that with density and buoyancy. Simply.
Why do the moon travel around the Earth?
But we'll go to that in a wee minute. Let's just stick to gravity.
No.
No, let's.
What are you using the
Do you need to
film
go?
for actually? What are you using the film for actually? Who are
That's
you
just for a
guys?
YouTube.
Who are you guys?
This is for my YouTube channel.
Yeah, and it is about that we should believe whatever.
No, what we're trying to get is real people's reaction to these questions, and that's what you've given. You know, you've given a real reaction. It's not to convince you.
Then you're not like editing this video, so it
No,
looks
no,
like
no.
I'm agreeing to this.
We'll show you. We'll show the whole thing. You know, as it is.
Okay.
We're not here to make anybody look silly. But you know, I'm not here to try and slant anything. I'm interested in reality and real truth. That's all I'm interested in. So no, don't worry about that. You know, it's nothing sinister.
What's the YouTube name?
Beyond the imaginary curve. Because there is zero curvature anywhere.
Yeah. You believe that? I believe.